That's a Walking
It's got
Dead
King
reference.
Ezekiel. Oh yeah, and it's
Where's
got
the tiger? Is it
it's
got
on
the-
it. Oh,
it's
hold
got
on.
the tiger
Hold on.
on
I'll
it.
show you.
I
Yeah,
can't
I'll
see
show
that,
you.
and I can't see.
Sheba.
Sheba, that's it.
It's all.
I cried more when Sheba died than most people on the show.
Have you seen the new series? Ah, that's cool.
Yo, what's going on, guys? We are here with the KEBG people. Shout out to everybody that's here. It's myself, Senses. We got Slayer, Longshot, Daisy, Doodles, and KOMAKOZ. This is the second podcast. The first one was uploaded on Absy's channel, which is separate. Over the time of last podcast, we made a new channel, which is KEBG Gaming, which is all of us all together. So round of applause. Let's go for that. All right. So if you guys want to check that video out in that channel, I'll leave it in the top link of the description. You can check it out there. So this is like I said, this is the second podcast. And so I guess we'll cut the bullshit and get on with it. All right. So where are we at?
What's the podcast on?
There's another way of looking at this. You could almost say now the bullshit begins.
Could be.
Or whatever. Bullshit begins, bullshit starts. I mean, everything's already shit hit the fan anyway.
I'm hoping not.
2021,
Right.
baby.
So, first topic of the day is what?
Is it? Who goes
Start.
first?
Daisy,
I mean, I figured we'd do an intro to what the topic's going to be over.
Okay.
And then
Well-
to who's going to do it.
Well, it's me, because Daisy. I'm going to talk about how I got into cults. I ain't in a cult, but I'm going to talk about how other people have joined cults, why, and, because that's what you wonder. How in the world did normal people end up thinking that, you can hop on a comet and weird stuff like that? So I thought that would be better to do than to jump straight into a cult. But what I have to say is going to make some people maybe mad, but I'm going to go with it because this is the only way that I could figure out how to deal with what's been happening in America for not just this past 4 years, the years before that in the Obama administration, all the blatant, ugly, nasty, racist stuff that our friends and family have just been spewing for years here. And how I got into cults was my sweet little 80-year-old mom. Little Christian woman calls me and says, "Why do all my friends at church love Trump?" And I didn't have an answer. So that's where that began. And I'm trying, y'all. I'm going to say way too many times.
It's all right.
But let me get my old phone to load up here. I should have had that open. I know y'all got the notes. I hope you did. in the podcast research. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down those. And sorry, my phone has jacked up on me. That's my kind of look. Give me just a minute, boys. I should have been more prepared and had my phone open.
That's okay. While she's loading, I figured I'd go ahead and say yes. We're all new to this, so there's gonna be a lot of hiccups, a lot of dumb shit, but that's what we're all here for. We're here to improve. So there's gonna be a lot of hiccups. There's gonna be quite a few, bumps in the road. However the hell you, whatever the hell.
Thanks for supporting me, man.
That's okay.
So
we're all here
we're
for.
talking about why people get involved with cults.
Yeah, how
That's
everyday
interesting.
average people
Just
would be.
normal mum and pop. Why they get involved?
Yeah, so in the list there's education. Now, education level, I have, as you could tell in the notes, I had a question mark beside of it. We're going to go back to that. They feel disenfranchised. People who join cults, they're disenfranchised. They're impoverished. Many of them are abused, or they've had some huge life change that just knocked them off their feet. And they're all vulnerable, and their willpower isn't really there. They're just kind of lost, And I'll go back and try the education part. I don't want to say that someone who doesn't, that it's only people who aren't educated, because like you take the Hellbop Comet people, those were all professors and lawyers and doctors. So we can't.
What was that one?
That is the one.
The
I'm gonna
Hale
let
Bop, the ones
Hell
that thought that they were going to ride the comet off and
They're
whatever.
going to be saved by getting on a comet because
Yeah.
Earth was doomed.
Okay.
And they all drank the Kool-Aid and died and put on their sneakers and was ready to go. And they were highly intelligent people. And
Well,
so that part is, yeah. Well, go ahead.
When you said they drank the Kool-Aid and put on the white sneakers, that's the Jamestown's people down in Guyana.
No, they actually did too. They were
Yeah,
all
they put on.
They were all dressed completely in jumpers, like joggers, and they all had on the same sneakers. Because I can remember when I was a kid and they had that on the news, they showed them all laying in their bunk beds, and I could see all their sneakers on their feet lined up.
Yeah, it was sneakers and blue jumpers.
Yeah. But they did drink some. I shouldn't have probably called it Kool-Aid, but they all drank some cyanide or something. But I guess where was so the part about mom and how this evolved into that thought process of, was MAGA or Trump supporters in a cult? And the people here, especially in Appalachia, they're very disenfranchised. They know that the whole government cares nothing for them. Most of them, major life changes. A ton of the coal miners, they lost their jobs. Steel workers, they're the same way, which we don't have steel workers here, but around the country, many people had lost their jobs and were desperate. They needed hope so bad to think that they could take care of their family and feed their family. And, he came in and he came here and he came to their places and he told them they mattered. So it's, the portion about validation. He validated them. They'd never been validated in their whole lives, told that anybody in the government was going to take care of them or love them. And then they felt hope, that something they'd never had. So that's kind of the love bombing portion that we was talking about. And most cults love bomb. When they gather the weak and the weary, and they bring them in and they give them community and they feel whole. And they also they give them promises of comfort. Everybody wants to.
Sorry, Daisy, just one sec. Pause. Can you mute
Am
your mic?
Oh, am I feeding over bad?
That's cool. Go on.
Okay. So now I'm going to go into something really weird here in a minute. I'm sure you're not surprised by that. But the way that I explained it to myself, I guess, through like the love bombing and the validation and the promises of they get promised earthly or worldly gains, and they just feel like that it's the only way. because then they soon become doctrining them into telling them it's us against them. It's, they, them, we, us, and everybody's out, they're all out to get you, and only we are going to make you safe and okay. So, okay, the weird part. With the love bombing, this is how it makes perfect sense to me that someone can join a cult. You take Susie. Susie down the road, ain't nobody ever loved her right. Her family, nobody. She's never had anybody tell her nothing but bad things about herself. Johnny comes along. Oh, and he just loves her up. He tells her she's beautiful and she's smart and she's great, and she's never felt that before. She's never been validated. And then he goes, he cheats with Nancy next door. But
Fucking
she
Nancy.
can't, fucking Nancy, she's always up to that. But she won't give up Johnny because there's that feeling she's never had. And she forgives him for cheating, right? She forgives him. He comes back. Things go well. And then he, I don't know, steals her car and wrecks it or something. She's already forgave him for bopping Nancy next door. And
Fucking
don't
Nancy.
fucking Nancy.
Oh, Nancy ain't got shit on Jody.
But yeah, so she will continue to forgive larger and larger and larger things because she's not going to want to ever lose that feeling. That is kind of how I explain that, in cults. How in the world did you get to where you would, do whatever this cult leader said? No, I mean, they telling them to cut off their wang dangs and everything, and they're just going and doing it. So that is how I see that, in my mind through the love bombing and the validation and everything. The way that translated into me trying to explain that to Mom, because she's saying all the sins, in her mind, and however's the hatred that was spewed from, Trump, and that he cheated on his wife. He said the thing about grabbing your cat. He did.
Sorry, what was that? Grabbing your cat? I'm not familiar. Could you explain that a little further, please?
No,
You don't have to.
Called locker talk, locker room talk is how he explained it. They literally caught him on camera saying that he would reach and grab a woman's pussy.
He said, "I grab him by
I'd grab him by their pussy."
Yeah.
Right at this moment, I'm going to cut in the video of someone running up behind a news reporter and going, "Grab her in the pussy," and then running off.
I love that.
Right now.
I love that. I love that guy. But yeah, I got way off topic here. But youngins' eyes trying. Oh, I had a little bit so bad at this.
It's okay.
Keep going. That's good.
So a little bit of the evaluation. There's a little of that in there too. That's kind of what was happening with Johnny and Susie, not Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
But Johnny was de-evaluating her. At the same time as building her up, he also has to come in and remind that thing that she was nothing when he got her. You're nothing without me. And the us, they, they, them, and keeping everybody separated. And that's kind of how I see that. And I mean, it doesn't prove that they're a cult in the least, but the similarities is just what I pick up on. I pick up on too that cults have a language. They have loaded language. And that's a way like that you're when you was a kid or something or other, or your cousins or something, and y'all had like little secret handshakes, or you had little inside jokes and stuff, and you could just say a little word, and they knew exactly what you was talking about. So we're in the same group, like white supremacists. Now that is cool. Y'all can argue me. But, they have their signs that they throw at each other. Gangs, same way. They have their signs so that they know each other, and they're connected and support each other. And
Don't forget fraternities and skull and crossbones.
Skull and crossbones, man, that's some screwed up shit right there. I've been researching that a little bit too.
Oh, I think that's an interesting subject in itself.
You should cover it then, man. That'd be pretty cool. That's y'all. He'd freak you out if you find out all the people in that.
I think
find out how many
I would
were
go out on a limb here and say that a lot
crossbones.
of people that are going to listen to this probably aren't even going to know what that reference is referring to.
I don't.
So I knew you didn't. I actually saw
everyone's laughing, and I'm like, okay.
I saw the deer in the
I
headlights.
guess you've got an inside joke, you little colt.
When it was,
You gotta go do some research.
Skull and Crossbones is an organization in basically your Ivy League schools, Harvard, Yale, like that. And
society.
Yeah, it's a secret society. They have all this weird shit. And I forget how many presidents were in it. I know both Bushes were in it.
Yeah.
Usually everybody that makes it to president was in, if not Skull and Bones, they were in one of them, because there's several of them. Skull and Bones is just the most infamous. These exist over in your neck of the woods as well, Doodles.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
they're in Cambridge. It's really, they pick the best of the best. You're already in the top 5%. Of the population, just with the fact that you're in the top schools in the world, and then out of those, they're picking the top of them.
And that's usually 1 or 2 people a year.
Yeah. And there's a lot of legacy stuff that goes on with that. Usually, and that's why, and this is actually something that I would like to discuss further at a later date, why our selection for president is so horrible when considering how many people we potentially could pick from. But that's, like I said, that's way off topic at the moment. But Daisy, you should take back this, because you brought up one little thing and we went way off on that.
Oh, well, you could ask yourself if Skull and Bones and them things are cults as well. They do have similarities. The fraternities altogether are kind of creepy.
Oh yeah, they wear a tie a certain way, or put their tie pin, or have something on their lapels, and little signs that say, "Hey, I'm with you."
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
the one
Knights of Columbus and all of those are kind of cult, like they say they're clubs. Masons, that's another one.
Masons, yeah.
And you can see their signs when you enter a city. They're
literally
everywhere on the city or town that you're entering in Massachusetts.
Isn't the pyramid with the eye? That's on the $1 bill, right?
No, yeah, but that has nothing to do. I mean, yeah, okay. Again, this is a topic we should probably discuss on a future, at a future time, because this is gonna really go off from what Daisy is trying to stick to.
What you're trying to say is, when you go into cities, is cornerstones are a sign of the Masons, and every big building has a cornerstone.
Yeah.
But I guess, I think I was supposed to speak 20 minutes. I told y'all I'm not real good at this. But
that's okay.
We're helping you.
Yeah, keep.
But no, I think I covered most of the topics. Didn't I?
Oh yeah, didn't you tell me that it takes less than 2 days to be brainwashed?
Yeah, I knew I was going to forget that, so I had him remind me.
Well, that probably depends on the level of the person, like how strong their willpower is versus
and their mental capacity.
What like you said, you went over like almost every single person that has in common that's in one of those cults
Mhm.
have what you were talking about in common. They're all, they have no self-esteem. They
Yeah.
either went through something very tragic that was life-altering, outcasts.
Mhm.
Like you said, they feel disenfranchised from
Now,
society.
in a lot of cults, yeah, you can take them. They'll take them. They'll get them, and they're kind of weak, and they might have the sense that the first time that they commit their first sin, let's call it that, the first time they try to ask to sleep with their wife or something weird, they'd have left, right? But what they get convinced to go on these journeys off into the wilderness like Moses, and now you're out there, and they control everything. They control every piece of information that comes into you, and pretty soon they stop feeding you, make you work all day, and you talk about your willpower gone. You're done. You're going to do anything that they say. And then
On that topic, what I feel really bad for is the children that are born into that lifestyle.
heartbreaking,
I mean, well,
heartbreaking.
just to throw something out there, we're talking about cults as these like people are going to convince you to kill yourself and ride a comet in the end of the world, and like that's fun,
to do
right?
stuff.
But like, what about Christianity? Because it's the same thing, right?
It's not.
What about every religion out there?
Religion can be definitely looked at as just another cult.
It has
I
to be.
mean,
Pretty much.
Christianity is a cult, in my opinion. I mean, if you look at what the Vatican has in their library that nobody can see, very, very few people can go in there and look through what they have in there, and supposedly they have records going all the way back to Christ.
I think, like, when we look back at the history of Christianity, like, if you had a copy of the Bible in English in like middle century England, you were put to death, because the Bible had to be in Latin. That information had to be controlled by the priest, and that gave a sense of power, and you had to pay tithes. And even in Africa today, Christianity still has a big grip. I mean, the Islamic faith is like taking over, but basically in the poorer countries that lack all of these things that we're saying, education, upbringing, don't have a great sense of the world, they're basically told, if you don't pay X amount of money to the church, you're not going to get into heaven. And they believe it like outright. I need to get into heaven, otherwise I'm going to go to hell. And if you don't pay for your family, they won't be able to meet you in heaven. And all this sort of carry on nonsense. And this is today.
What's crazy is if there is a God, he doesn't care about anything monetarily, It's just, it is crazy how religion uses God to basically siphon money out of
the church. Does not have to pay tax in this country.
They don't hear either.
Nor in this country do they.
Why?
Again, these are big topics that really warrant a whole podcast.
The cult, isn't it? It's all around like what consists of the cult. Why do people get into it? People get into Christianity because they want that support network. They want all of that crap, right? But it also comes with this whole, like, I don't know, process or ceremony, or you've got to sing together. It's all these types of mechanisms that it's like you're in this now,
As for me, I grew up in the Church of Christ.
As did I.
And you did too?
Yeah.
And they just
I think they're the only ones that's going to get into heaven too.
Oh yeah, I could tell you. There. But we'll do jokes another time. But now to me, I mean, being very small, and they just keep talking about blood all the time. Do you remember that's the blood of Christ, and you're gonna baptize you and cover you as a symbol of being covered in His blood, and now we're gonna drink.
Of the Lamb and all this.
Yes,
it was just an excuse to be able to drink wine.
Yeah, but we don't mind. The Church of Christ only got grape juice, dang it. But so drinking blood, that sounds like vampires. How is that? That is just creepy. I always thought, and altars. You have altars up there, and you're all, oh Lordy. And I don't know if any of y'all ever been to a Pentecostal church.
Happy clappy.
Yeah, I don't know, they say some stuff like they just
Talking in
start
tongues and, yeah.
Play with snakes.
play. Oh, we got some in around here. Yeah.
Another thing about the drinking blood, there's a tribe in Africa that will puncture an artery in the neck of the cow and they'll mix it with milk.
Mm-hmm.
That's as bad as
Yeah.
fucking Laverne mixing Pepsi with
I
milk.
know. I've seen them stab it and it just pours right out in the bucket. It's
Yep.
just weird.
Hey, now, you all, I don't know if you've watched the TV show. What was the name of that Snake Man?
The Snake Man of Appalachia. We'll
Uh,
try to find some of it for
But
y'all.
yeah, I actually, that's what I was getting ready to get to. See, he goes to a church that handles snakes. But
Yeah.
cool thing is that me and my buddy Space, we actually went out and helped him film some of
Let's
the
see what-
footage. But as soon as we filmed it, they canceled his show and they didn't get to use it. So we could have been on live TV, and that sucked.
They wasn't in the church. They was out in the field getting the snakes. is
Yeah,
what
we
they-
was out filming it, and we caught like 2 or 3 snakes. So I mean, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, just what I want to be playing with is some pissed off snakes.
I
No,
know.
no
kidding.
kidding.
No.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've seen the videos of them up there dancing and swirling the snake around. The next thing you know, boom, it's hanging off of his arm.
No. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I will find the video because we actually got it on YouTube. I will
Okay.
find the video and put it in our Discord so you fellas can see it.
One thing I want to go back into with the on the intro, I like how we I see because I didn't I knew nothing about, even though I'm kind of over this, I don't know any of the topics that you guys research because I didn't have time to look at anything. I kind of like how we was going to talk about a cult and then well, again, I didn't know, I don't know if anybody else knew, but then you switched it up and then you went into the introduction of how people get started in cults. I really liked that. I liked how how they get started with it and how it evolves. And then I thought that was a really interesting way to start it. I thought that was really good.
I mean, it's going to help recruitment.
Oh yeah.
Let's say that. Yeah.
I try to get better at organizing. That's never been my skill.
That's
It's-
okay.
And I made his girlfriend, and that's why his house looks that way.
That's
Really.
really interesting.
Yeah,
What-
that was
what- okay, so here's a question for you. Sorry to jump in,
What?
since, but like,
go ahead.
what dictates it being a cult? So, like, you could make the argument that what we have here, that what we're doing here, is quite cultish, right? We've got
Yes.
we got our traditions and our rigmarole that we put in. We
Yeah, Tim
try and
actually
support-
asked me if we were a cult.
you know, it could be the question could be raised. But so, at what
Well-
point does it stop being a community of friends and a support network, and does it step over that line into okay, you're now?
Well,
sort of a
that's the
cult?
$25,000 question now, isn't it?
Mhm.
What was it when we let
Actually,
Slayer
it's
join?
the
Was that like when it went wrong?
de-evaluation.
Say again, sorry.
Well, I think it would be the de-evaluation portion of it because, you know, you got the love bombing where you get validated, and all that's good. We do. We all validate each other here.
Yeah.
Chris just did to me. Told me I did a good job, and we all make each other feel good, and we feel comfortable here, and we to be ourselves, and we feel safe.
Chris,
We
I
got
thought
all
you did. I
that.
thought
It's tough love.
Yeah, I
I'd
thought you
rather-
did a good
I'm
job
gonna
telling
bring you
Daisy
all
that
down
she
a
did
peg.
good job.
Yeah, but like I said, they ain't want any of us trying to convince the other one to do something that's against their morals, and I believe that's when it starts to become a cult. When they, yes, we're a team, and we're gonna go against other teams and whatnot, but we don't think that they're out to get us.
Is there one common belief here that any one particular person here feels like everybody should share?
KOMAKOZ is
I-
the best at Warzone.
Really?
Yeah, but
It's
that's not
true.
really a belief. That's actually a fact.
There you go.
Out of all of us,
The
he's
cult of
definitely the
KOMAKOZ.
best.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if we're just hanging out gaming or speaking our mind like we are currently, or doing whatever, just streaming ourselves, hanging out, doing nothing.
Mm.
We're
Right.
not trying to change anybody else's
No.
views on life per se. We're not trying to get you to believe anything that you don't necessarily believe yourself. So you take those elements out of it, then no, this isn't a cult in any way.
Let, and let alone to throw on top of that, like he was saying, we don't do it against anybody's morals. We do it literally for ourselves and for each other.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where it goes to cross the line, where everybody starts going into the dark side, should we say, of the cult side of things. I feel
How
like
do, how do you view a military? If you
Oh,
inject the military parameters into whether that could fall under a cult or
So
not,
take it wider countries, flags.
you're awesome, man. You're awesome.
it's
Thank you.
hey, thank you for
I'm
your
in the
Well done,
biggest
well done,
country
Longshot.
there is in America.
this is not a dig towards the
No,
military in any way.
nothing.
I know
But
it's not.
I'm only throwing it out there that it could be viewed as the military is a cult.
The
I
Marine Corps considers itself a cult.
really?
And so, oh yeah, so don't a lot of other people. Uh,
Well, what I was thinking of is how they desocialize. See, the
they
military,
don't desocialize.
when you first go in, they shave all your hair the same way. They put you all in the same uniform and they make you, say the same things and do the same things. That takes you away from society and your family, and you all become a family together that way.
We
So,
It
do.
also there's
I
a
have
reason why
millions
all
of
that
brothers
is
and
done.
sisters
yeah,
out all over the world.
yeah.
right.
And the reason they shave your head, the reason they make you say the same thing and move the same way and all of that is repetition. They shave your heads, they dress you all in green little uniforms. There is no individual in the military. You are a team.
I
Right.
believe though the
And
reason
That's
why
what I
they
was.
shave heads in the military actually started because of
Longshot, that's interesting.
life
Go on.
concerns.
Oh, you
It
got some-
wasn't
I
it
have no
wasn't
idea
any
about
other
that.
reason other than they lice.
That's what I
Because
thought it was too.
you have a lot of people bunking together that come from all over. If one person has it, you know how lice is.
Everybody
Like
else. Mhm.
everybody
Well,
in
that's the first thing you do.
yeah.
Once you hit receiving, you stand on the little yellow footprints. Your receiving DI comes out. He takes you inside. You empty your pockets. They give you back what they think you should have, which is nothing. And you fill out some paperwork. You hit the showers.
Can
I mean,
say
I'm with I'm with the long shot. I mean, back to us considering or considering us a cult and us considering the military as being a cult. Like I'm with Longshot whenever he was talking about the whole team thing. Like all of us, we didn't know each other. None of like Apsy. Well, Apsy is the only one. He's all the way in London, England, or he's over there in England, and
He's
me,
on the other
Kaz,
side of the
and
pond.
right, me, Kaz, Daisy, and I don't know who else is here. We're from United States here in Kentucky.
I'm
And
from
Longshot's
north
from
of
here. He's from
Boston,
Ohio.
oh, okay. Well,
and I'm
and
from
it's just all of us,
Massachusetts.
right? And I mean, all of us are just from different parts of the world, and some are one of us is from clear across an ocean, and we all were individuals, and then all together we're all as a team. So I thought that was a really good input on the whole. You go in as an individual, but then whenever you're there, you come back out, and everybody's a team, everybody's a family. I thought that was really
Well, it also teaches you how to work together with people from all different races. I had blacks, I had Asians, Hispanics, Samoans. I love the Samoans. You don't want to. You want them as your friend. You do not want to piss a Samoan off. I mean, we've even had Alaskan Eskimos, and we're all from different cultures, all different backgrounds and religions and everything. but it teaches you how to work together.
Um,
The let me
so
put it
Too
this
bad that
way:
mentality couldn't transfer over to everyday life.
But
but you
a
know,
lot of it can. I mean, Marines have aviation. We have special ops. Special ops transfers over to civilian life quite well.
just to jump straight in there, long shot. All of that's great, right? All of that is great, but they're also teaching you to kill.
Okay, I was gonna get to that here in a
And
second.
that's against what you would do as a normal chap walking down the street everyday life. So it is an indoctrination. It is a cult, right? It's got to be.
Well, let me put it this way: the Air Force is basically a corporation. They 9 to 5, they're done. The Navy is mostly technology. Your submarines, your aircraft carriers, and all of the avionics and all that type of stuff. Nuclear. The Army is basically an occupation force. The Marine Corps is basically killers. That's what we are used for. We are the first to fight. We're the first to go in, and that's what our job is.
But
now,
you had to be indoctrinated to that. You had to go through a process. You had to be dehumanized, desocialized. You had to be put in that mindset.
Basically, they break you down to build you back up.
If everyone's
Exactly.
doing it, you're going to do it with them, and everyone has to do it, right? And you're all a team together, so you're all going to do it. So it's not about that you're killing; it's about the bloke next to you, right? And that's how they get you.
I'm not fighting for me or you back home. I'm fighting for the man or woman to my left and right.
So they all put you in. They all shave your head, space monkey. You're all treated like shit, and then you don't have a choice. You're indoctrinated, and away you go. You're now, a U.S. Marine killer.
You
It's
can look at it that way,
100%
but
necessary. It's 100% necessary, and thank you so much for your service and all that. As not as an American, we've been in so many conflicts together, the UK and the US. But at some point, you got to think maybe that's not the best way to do this. Maybe having all these individual countries and flags, and you're an American and home of the free, and I'm rule Britannia and we rule the seas, and maybe we should stop trying to indoctrinate people into that mindset of mine, not yours, and start to look at ours as we move forward.
Okay.
Look at the whole planet as the human race and try to do what's best for
Can you
the
imagine
planet
if
and the human race.
if we're the
That
only
would be
thing in the
incredible.
universe, if we're it, and there's nothing else out there, which is a possibility.
Which I don't believe that.
It could be a possibility, right?
It's definitely a possibility,
if
but I don't
this is how
believe
we
it.
treat each other, and we're the only thing, how shit is that?
Okay, but see the equation. The thing you're leaving out of the equation is there are people, China, North Korea, Russia, and the psychopath 72 version Muslims, and they aren't interested in that. They're only interested in their own ideology.
So it goes back to
that's
education,
not going to work unless we eradicate them. We are not going to have it.
But this is the problem, right? They're indoctrinated into their way of thinking, whatever that may be, for whatever religious, political, whatever. They're indoctrinated to go and do that, right? And then you're indoctrinated to go and fight against them. Why? For what fucking purpose? Just to clear a few more off the planet.
Not for the purpose of preserving democracy. It's not
Christianity.
That's
did it
not
a couple of hundred
that's
years
not
ago,
the true
right?
purpose of war. War is always about controlling or gaining more power.
Yep.
It's even above money and oil, which a lot of people say we fight over. It's really about control, power.
Who's got the biggest nuts?
To dictate the conversation.
Yeah.
Who wants to be the alpha?
For many, many years, the United States have been basically on call to be doing this. We're the ones that always run all over the world to protect, quote unquote, protect democracy.
We are the world's policemen.
We're right now we're used as the world's policemen. That's why everybody hates us.
Well,
across the globe. I mean,
it's not the only
us
reason.
as Americans, the average American doesn't have any ill will towards,
No, of course not.
their fellow person. But if you're a lot of people outside of this country view us as these monsters, basically. They think we're all have too much money and we blow our money. We're idiots. We're fat. We're lazy. We don't care about any. We think we're the best. Most Americans don't feel that way in any way.
Not with an Englishman in the room.
All right. You're a good person to speak to this issue because you've traveled all over.
Hmm.
You've been around.
Yeah.
Especially for a 30-year-old, you've seen a lot of the world, and you still have a good young man's perspective.
Well,
How well do you think Americans are viewed where you've been? And you've been to several countries.
So in any Middle Eastern, Arabic, Muslim country, the first question you're asked as a white Caucasian person is, are you American? And the correct answer is, no, I'm fucking not, mate. And then you're cool.
Yeah.
So you're not viewed very well. But then again, you have spent a lot of time blowing up quite a lot of countries.
And again, that's my point. We've been
don't get me wrong,
like
we were right there with you.
Said. Well, yeah, but if you look, if you ask the average citizen of Earth, not any one specific country, anything, if they said, what country do you think controls or tries to control the world?
China.
They're all going to say America.
No, they say China.
No, they'll say America.
No,
China.
it'll be China.
China owns America, mate. Come on.
Well, I know that, but as far as military force, it's not China.
But the game's changed on that front. China's not it's information. It's technology. It's subterfuge. It's going back towards Cold War, but Cold War with advanced technology. It's now about how can I destabilize your country, not how can I set my infantry here and your infantry there. It doesn't work like that anymore.
I think the only reason why America is still as American as we are is because Russia and China won't work together. If they work together and ganged up on us, we'd be all done.
I don't think they need to. I think you're all done anyway.
Well, it depends on what you mean by all done. Most of Americans pretty much realize at this point that the American dream is gone for most people.
I don't believe that. From a capitalist standpoint, if you want to
turn
but
how can you say that? You're not even an American. I mean,
but a lot of my business is in America,
how many people who have the American dream are people who aren't here?
Yeah, it's true. You have this version of this American life that us as Americans, the average American, doesn't see.
So America's a cult. We're indoctrinated into seeing America a certain way.
I honestly believe the whole concept of America was just a test that the powers that be tried to see how democracy on its ultimate level could be, how it would play out. And honestly, from the early 1900s, it seems like they've started to they stopped letting it just happen, and they started to steer it in the direction that they wanted. And that goes back to the institution of the IRS, the implementation of the IRS, and also the fact that the Federal Reserve controls our money. Most Americans don't even realize that the American dollar is not our currency. It's actually an independently owned entity.
And they won't tell us about balancing the federal budget either.
Yeah. But that all happened in the early 1900s when they decided that they were not going to let democracy play out the way that it was naturally going. So they started to shape it a little. It basically, if you look at what we are now, our taxation is worse now than when we had our revolution back in the 1700s.
But if we can get away from our government giving away billions of dollars to fucking
To other
countries that don't
countries,
even
yep.
like us,
I know.
our taxes would go down.
There's a lot of things we could do differently that would make life better for us as an American citizen. But our country doesn't care because, unfortunately, our government is controlled by big corporation, and they don't care about the American citizen. Doodles, you do not see that as much in the UK as we see it here. Yes, it's there, and it definitely.
I think it's unanimously global that governments really don't give a shit. They have to do the bare minimum.
No, there's a lot of countries that care about
the
their
bare
citizens.
minimum to get re-elected.
Switzerland.
But in terms of like your individualness and just get on with it, you are in this world by yourself, my friend, and that is why capitalism is a great measuring stick of who is stupid and who is rich. Because ultimately that's what it comes down to, right? It's how intelligent are you? How can you leverage? This is what it comes like. So we are animals, and as much as I can talk and convince you to give me something that that's all it comes down to, right?
Yeah, but I don't agree that a person's wealth is an indicator of their intelligence.
It used to be how strong you were.
Right.
It used to be how big your army was, or how big your religious following was, or how big your cult was. Now, as someone who's not inside of those institutions, it literally comes down to your wits. How can you progress? How can you show you're intelligent? How can you get more? How can you accumulate,
See, and this is coming from a 30-year-old.
But that's truth, right?
I agree. And when I was
lying.
30, I felt a lot more like you do now than I do at my age, being 50.
I think you got more hope left, baby.
No.
We're downtrodden.
No, what I realized is that money doesn't matter at all. Status doesn't matter in life. What matters is family and friends.
Exactly.
That's unless you're
in a cult.
Yeah.
We could segue back to that and say that because that would be true. But honestly, the older you get, I think the more you realize that, yes, life is easier if you have money and you can do more things. But
Yep.
if you don't have people to share those memories and times with, most people aren't going to find that very gratifying and are not going to be as happy as they would be struggling, but having people by their sides while they're struggling.
I don't know. Give me $1 billion and I'll tell you in a year.
Right. Longshot gets it.
Because I got a mountain out in Montana I want to buy.
I'm not saying that it wouldn't be good to have money. I'm just saying that money isn't, in my opinion, isn't a good measuring stick for intelligence, especially, but also happiness.
The best way to say it is money is the root of all evil.
No, the love of
Well,
money is the root.
See, now, since we're on the subject of money for a second, my granny, she told me growing up all the time. I never really understood where she got it from until you guys are just sitting here talking about it. Well, I don't even know for sure, but she would always talk about if money wasn't a thing, she wouldn't use it. She could give two shits less.
So there's this is really random.
I like that philosophy.
On the money thing. So there was an experiment probably 10, 15 years ago, and they took like chimpanzees, and they basically taught a chimpanzee that if you have this token and you give me this token,
I know this. I know what you're gonna say.
So they taught all of the chimpanzees, and there's 4 male chimpanzees and 1 female chimpanzee. And the very first thing the female chimpanzee did was trade those coins for sex. That's all I'm saying about capitalism, man. And that's how we started, right? We are just advanced fucking chimps.
Well, isn't prostitution one of the oldest known professions?
Sometimes not so advanced. That's just interesting. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. It's just like such a human thing, I guess.
If you could take the human factor out of capitalism, capitalism by itself is a good thing. But unfortunately, you have to weigh in the human factor, which is always going to introduce greed, which,
Yeah, of course.
in my opinion, ruins in what demonizes capitalism.
Yeah.
And that's one reason we need term limits.
Oh yeah.
Do you think 8 years is too much?
Yeah.
No, I think he's speaking more on like senators who can just be, once they're in, they can die in there.
Well, yeah.
There is no term limit for a
Like
senator.
Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
Joe Biden.
No,
I
being
second that.
president, you can only
No,
be
but
there
he's
for
been
8
like a
years.
politician for how many years? 20, 30, 40?
47.
Well,
Well,
he was
48
vice
now.
president for
years,
8
man.
years.
48
Fucking hell.
years.
Maybe
And,
America.
and he's
finally
only
got the right
signed
man.
one bill into law.
But maybe he's the right man. He's been there 50
But about
fucking years. He
40
must know what he's
executive
doing.
decisions since he got in.
I don't know.
He's literally signed roughly 40 executive orders. Since
47.
Yeah.
What sort of kicked
since
off
he-
your interest of this subject, Daisy? Why indoctrination to cults? Why, like, this is an interesting subject. Last week we were doing politics. Why this?
Well, you was the one. You was the one that told her. Well, you was the one that actually told everybody to pick a topic that they feel like they can discuss.
I did.
And so
you're
the
like,
first
without
the-
sense
the-
answering your question for you. Like, you literally just
Sorry.
think this is the one I can talk about.
Well, I mean,
He's doing it again. Shut the fuck up, Sense.
I can just anything. I talk way too much. It's just the organization of putting it together was hard for me because I'm off the wall ADHD and I hop from like 15 subjects at a time. But again, the cults just help me understand and be able to kind of give my mom an answer to how, somebody could be so mean, but people kept forgiving them. Like, they could go against their morals. Every moral that she's taught in church: don't cheat, don't steal, don't lie, don't cuss, don't love your neighbor, love your brother as yourself, all of them. So it didn't make any sense to her, so I had to find a way. When my mommy asks me something, I do it.
So you're in a cult.
You cult with her own mom.
There is something to be said. You could look at family as a cult.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has
Well,
certain
I'm sorry,
traditions that they don't. Certain
Bacon.
traditions they want to do. Certain traditions they do at certain times.
Apps is
Yeah,
30, but he has the bladder of a 60-year-old.
Yeah, I'll be back too. I've just literally sat here and drank like 3 waters, so I will be right back.
Yep, I'm
Well,
going
he
to
ain't even
do
made
that because I haven't left yet, and I'm 65.
He ain't even.
There you go.
He ain't
I'm
even talking.
50,
He's in
so
sitting there
it's
just
hitting me
drinking
these
water.
days.
Okay. Well, I was gonna ask everybody how much longer they want to keep this going because we're at 54 minutes on this
I don't
topic.
care. I
I
can
mean,
talk
we said
all
we
day.
wanted. Well, yeah. I mean, that's what a podcast is. You just sit here and just discuss everything.
There
I mean,
are a lot
I'm-
of topics that spawned from Daisy's initial conversation about cults that we can dive into at another time, I believe.
Right.
There was like
right.
definitely 3 or 4 that we went off on for a little bit that
Oh, yeah.
definitely deserve more attention and more time speaking about.
Tell me about this skull and bones. What's that?
I told you that's one of the subjects that we should dedicate.
Yeah, give me a synopsis.
It's a secret society that the elite get into.
To what end?
Those are your secret synopsis.
To what end? What do they do? They get in it and jerk each other off. What?
Pretty much.
Again. This topic can literally be a podcast.
Because I was watching a film. It was called the Good Shepherd, and it was like how the CIA came about, and there was like lots of this sort of. I forget what it was fucking called, but it was like literally a secret society, and like to get in it, you had to mud wrestle, and like the other chaps were pissing on them or something like that, as they're mud wrestling and like the winner, blah blah blah, and then you get into the secret society and then you meet with a guy and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm setting up the CIA." So you have to get pissed on to be in the CIA, apparently.
I don't think that's a true. I don't think that's.
Matt Damon was in it. It's got to be fucking true, mate.
Yeah.
He does all documentaries.
He's a really good actor.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's one actor. Now, one of the first movies that I ever watched. This is going off topic, I know, guys. One of the first movies I watched, it was my papa, and it was actually here in this house. It was the Bourne series, Bourne Identity, Bourne Supremacy, and what's the last one? Ultimatum.
Yeah,
I think that's 3.
Yeah.
Then
And
the new one with the guy from Marvel.
I haven't.
Jason Bourne.
I haven't watched.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just called Jason Bourne.
I mean, I feel like that's.
It's too
always,
much. Too many Bournes. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was
But,
a good series.
Yeah, it was really good. I loved it. I rewatch them
Trilogy, I
from
guess
time
I
to
should
time.
say.
From time to time. Ever since.
John Wick, though. John Wick.
Ever since, as long as I can remember, I always like to go back and rewatch it. But on the topic, how much longer we want to keep this going? Because we're at 56 minutes.
I mean, yeah. What does everyone think?
I mean, I feel
well, we still got Slayer's topic that he needs to go over.
No, we just
right. Well, yeah. But I'm just going off of the.
And we also spoke about keeping this organic. So I mean, if we stay on this topic for an hour and a half, 2 hours, we just call it at that. I mean, we've actually, like I said earlier, we sort of spawned off of Daisy's original topic, and it, scratched the surface on several other important issues that we could definitely discuss as a group further in detail at a later time.
I would love to hear one of y'all do Skull and Bones. I think that would be great.
Why don't we make that?
You know what, Doodles? I think you should research it. You know the least amount about it. It would make sense for you to actually research it, and you come to the table with what you learn. And I mean, I already know a lot about it, but I'll do more research on it myself so that I can, we can have a good discussion about it. But where you know the least about it, why don't you do the most research on it and you come to the table on that subject?
Okay, so next podcast we will do secret societies with a focus on Skull and Bones off of the back of cults because they're similar.
Yes, they
Cue
are.
spooky music.
I'm going to show my age here. I don't care. Do any of you remember a show called Connections, hosted by James Burke?
That's what happens in refineries like these.
I never watched it, but I know the show. I'm old enough that I do know what you're talking about, but I didn't watch it personally.
Because everything that we've discussed here reminds me of that show, starting off with cults and how we went up on many different legs like an octopus and how they were kind of all intertwined and everything.
It's all
well,
this,
that's
like,
how this
theory
sort
of
of evolved,
right? It's all about how do I get you on my team to do this, whatever this ends up being, whether that's good, bad, nefarious, supportive. It's all the same sort of traps and like lures, and I don't know. It's weird.
One thing that one thing that I was going to mention about cults, and I just remembered it. Your football clubs over there are kind of like a cult now, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I know. When we went to Sutherland up there in Scotland, I think it was, up on the northeast corner by the Shetland Islands.
Yeah.
We got Liberty in Shetland, and it was a Saturday night, and we were all at the bar, and you could tell we were American Marines. I mean, come on. High and tights, who wore them in the 70s? But all these people came up and invited us to go to their football game the next day. They wanted us to root for their side. I already knew about that.
Yeah, man, you're absolutely right. So, like, I live in South London, and there's a team called Millwall, and they're notorious for like having like a gang of people who say they follow Millwall and represent them, and they go around and they fight the the gang from the other team basically, and it really is. It's tribal. It's that I don't know where it comes from. It goes back to that primal thing, I guess. This is my tribe, and I want to come and fight yours. Maybe that's what we need to get away from. You know, I don't know.
Sounds like our Scottish heritage over in here with the Hatfield and McCoys.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually a really well-known feud here in America.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody
Over
older
a damn
than
pig, wouldn't it?
25 or 30
over a
that doesn't
pig. Yeah,
know
Over a
the
pig.
story of the Hatfields and the
That's the only
McCoys.
thing you had to feed your 15 children. You might kill somebody over it too.
It was lost in translation. It was someone's sister. Colts, baby.
Yeah, another good one would be Charlie Manson and his little group. I mean, good God. I mean, they're the three girls. Two of them are released on probation or parole, or they might be off paper by now. And I know another one's still in prison, but they
one
are
of them
still
died.
disciples.
The one that cut the baby out.
One of them died in prison.
Well, then that might be the one. She's gone, so it don't matter. But yeah, they were still devout to Charlie to the end.
Strange.
Yeah, one of the ones that they released just recently spent more time in jail than any other female in U.S. history. She was incarcerated from 1970, 71 until like 2019.
That's crazy.
Do you think she learned her lesson?
Probably not.
No,
No,
like
probably not.
Longshot is saying, they two of them did find religion, so I shouldn't say that. One of the guys, Tex, he found religion in jail. Like three of them, I guess, did actually. One of the guys and two of the girls really got into religion after being incarcerated for many years. Because they all, I mean, all of them were in jail for 40 plus years.
Right.
Should have been more than that.
Yeah, I think if Charlie caught him, they'd still come back.
He died. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
then
did,
what's crazy is the ones that weren't even there, that didn't participate in the murders at all, that still supported Charles Manson and the rest of them. They actually did this stupid thing where three of them, on their hands and knees on concrete, traveled like, I don't know, what was it, like 7 or 8 miles? One of the women can barely walk now because of doing this.
Yeah, they were all bloody knees and hands.
Yeah,
but
they
fucking
idiots, huh?
Yeah, but they totally believed in Charles Manson and.
Well, he did have the drugs, and some of the drugs that he gave them. It was some kind of tea that had I was trying to look up the name.
Peyote. He used peyote, acid.
There was even another one though that I think could like brain damage them almost instantly.
One of the girls tried to kill one of the witnesses. She dosed her tea with like 10 hits of acid or 20 hits of acid, something that could, and she had to go to like the hospital and ride that out on a ridiculous amount of acid. It happened at an airport. So that one of Charlie Manson's devout followers during the trial literally tried to kill one of the witnesses that left the cult and poison him with like that much acid.
Isn't it crazy that he never really killed anyone though?
Yeah, but that's how. But the way the law works, I mean,
No. That's just.
I know what you're saying though. He physically didn't do anything.
No, he murdered.
He just gave the orders to do it.
Yeah.
That almost makes him worse in a way, like toying.
Well, I mean,
it goes back to this idea of how much shit can I talk to convince other people to give me something that I wanted. He wanted them to go and do this, so he just talked enough shit, gave them enough drugs. You know, same thing. You know,
so he basically.
How convincing can you be?
The relationship that I described would be very much the relationship he was having with all them women in his cult.
It must have been, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
the same.
I mean,
Well,
he
doesn't that
played on the young
always
and
play
naive.
out in every single one of the cults? One of the main themes is something to do with like perverted sex. Like the leader can have sex with anybody when they turn 16. He has to deflower them or whatever
Yeah.
to be in. It's all bullshit. It's all just to satisfy his, friggin' messed up desires.
So in Middle England again, there was a law called Prima Nocta that was enacted when we
I
were
know
in
that.
Scotland.
I know it.
And it was
I know what that
basically
is.
like when a man and wife got married, on the first night of their marriage, the king could fuck the wife.
The king could have the sex with the wife to deflower
to make
before
sure
the
she
husband
was still a
could.
virgin, basically.
Yep. There's actually a movie that was big in Hollywood about 15 years ago.
That was about like Braveheart. That had that in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mel Gibson.
He was like, fuck you.
Same sort of thing, right? It's my way or the highway. I'm right, you're wrong. You've got to listen to me. I'm convincing. I'm charismatic, and you just get people to follow along, and it gets.
I think the difference is though, like between a cult or like a dictatorship, which some would say are basically the same, is like in a cult, the people actually believe in whatever bullshit's being spewed their way.
What about the
Whereas,
from,
like under a dictatorship, people are really following out of fear because they don't want to be killed. They don't want their family members killed.
Did you ever see Smallville?
Yes.
So the blonde woman in that, who was the reporter, Alison something or other, she ended up in a cult, and she was like trying to recruit other high-profile Hollywood people to go into this guy's wellness. He called it a wellness group, and it was
I know the story.
Yeah. But like that's someone, modern Hollywood. You'd think they would be educated. You'd think they would.
Yeah. Well, look at Tom Cruise.
Scientology, man.
Scientology. Although he is like distancing himself now from it. But for the longest time, he was a huge supporter of Scientology.
Didn't he go like kind of ape nuts on what show was that, and jumping up and down on top of the Oprah jumping up and down on the couch?
Yeah. But
another one's John Travolta.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a Scientologist.
Oh, but apparently Travolta hates Tom Cruise, and they won't be in the same room together. It's just a little inside Scientology gossip for you.
I think all of them need to get over themselves.
Okay, I think that covers it.
That's Scientology. Ain't it kind of crazy all hell boppy too, like they think there's some big meaning in the aliens and shit.
So apparently
they just want you to pay lots of money to go to a different level.
Yeah.
What
was the other one with the guy with the magic glasses, and he could only read the tablets? And
no, you're thinking of Mitt Romney and his magic underwear.
Mormons. That's what I'm thinking of.
He doesn't know that. That's funny. I know that. I'm from Massachusetts. Mitt Romney was our governor.
He ran for president, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's a shithead.
He's a shithead.
I shouldn't say that because he wasn't that bad of a governor for us. I would say Deval Patrick was a lot worse. I actually like our governor now, Charlie Baker. And I'm people ask me, what are you, a Democrat or a Republican? And I'm like, I'm neither. I vote for a person, not party. I'm a registered independent. Much. I'll vote for who I think is going to try to do the best for us. I don't care what party they're in. Does that matter in an election, though? Unfortunately, yes. Party does matter. Because if you're president, but the House and the Senate is controlled by the opposing party, then you're not going to do a lot as president.
No.
Right. Well, I feel that covered. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in our government, Doodles, that's how it works. I don't know about yours so much. You have your prime minister, but is he the end-all, say-all?
It's a massive, massive conversation for another day.
Yeah, exactly. But we should. That would be a good topic. Is to compare American politics to British politics.
We're trying to move on.
I mean, I feel like we got out what we wanted to with the whole cult thing. Yeah, we wandered off, but I mean, that's what a podcast is. I mean, everybody's here to speak their mind.
At length.
Well, Doodles
Yeah,
lived his
yeah.
life on a
At length,
constant
at an hour
walkabout,
and
so he
Hour
knows
and
how to
10.
wander.
hour and 10 in. Yeah.
Hour and 10 for a 20-minute talk. Love it.
All right. So, what's the next topic we got on for today?
Slayer's hot potato.
The Keystone XL pipeline that was being built, that comes out of Alberta, Canada, that was coming down to the Gulf Coast in Texas, going through 5 states on its way. It was brought up and started, and the exploration of this idea really began during the Obama administration. But he nixed it, saying that, we are trying to work towards a greener future, and we want to go to alternative means of energy and not rely on fossil fuels, which, by the way, I'm 100% behind. Totally believe we need to move in that direction. But during the Trump administration, he then revamped the pipeline, and they began construction on it, and they started building the pipeline from Alberta down to the Panhandle in Texas, which is roughly 1,700 miles.
Jesus.
Yes, it was a big undertaking, and we've already, and you know what? It's probably billions of dollars have probably already gone into this construction. On Biden's
so.
first day in office, he halted the construction on the pipeline. I did not agree with this. Again, I'm all about trying to go towards sustainable energy, getting away from fossil fuels, not only for our environment, but for us and for the wildlife that it impacts, because the
Right.
impacts are devastating on all 3. But by halting the pipeline, there is no plans to shift us, like all the money or all the effort that was being put into this pipeline is not going to go towards trying to bring sustainable, clean energy to the forefront any further. All this does is shift the way we're going to transport the oil. So you have to look at the economic and the environmental impacts on both sides of this. Again, normally I would be all for stopping this, because I do feel like we have to move away from fossil fuels. But until we actually are putting that energy and resources towards meaningful investment and focus on green, sustainable energy, all we did is stop oil being transferred in a more efficient and cleaner way. So now, instead of having a pipeline that would have brought 880,000 gallons of oil a day to the Texas Panhandle, which, for anyone out, Doodles, you probably don't know, but that's basically the oil hub of America. Some would say the Western world, probably. We now have to go back to transporting it via trucks, boats, trains, all of which the impact on the environment is going to be much worse than the pipeline would have caused. Not to mention that the estimated job loss in Texas alone is in the tens of thousands on a long-term period of time. Short term, just building the pipeline, 1,000 people were put out of work the day that he signed that order. I agree in the theory that we need to move towards a greener future. But until we're actually working towards that goal, shutting down this pipeline doesn't make any environmental or economical sense to do, other than the fact of the immediate area where the pipeline starts and basically where it ends. Ending in an area again, which is already the oil hub of America, but the wildlife impact, the environmental impact on Alberta, Canada, is definitely something that needs to be taken into consideration. Now, the average American is going to see this, and this is every American, is going to see this at the pumps. The estimated price of gas is going to go probably to an all-time high within a year to 18 months. But at minimum, it's going to be double what it is now because of this decision. This decision that he did does not just impact this one pipeline. It also affects all federal land that potentially has oil potential. So a lot of people will be like, "Oh yeah, we're doing the right thing. It's good for the environment," but it really isn't, because moving the oil via the pipeline versus moving oil by traditional methods like train, truck, and boat is much, much less. The biggest argument that I've read in all my research on this topic has been, well, what about if the pipeline leaks? So I dove into the history of the impact of oil leaks on pipelines that exist now versus what happens when you have an oil tanker lose its hull out in the ocean, or if a truck tips over on the highway, or if a train derails. And the impact on the environment from the pipelines is literally less than 1% of the impact from moving it the conventional ways via boat, train, and truck.
And pipelines also have an environmental effect on the animals. When they built the pipeline in Alaska down to America, the animal population around the pipeline increased because the heat kept the permafrost in the snow out from underneath, and there was grass and all of that stuff growing. And when there's food, you're going to breed.
Mhm.
There's a positive side to it that I actually honestly love that you said that, because out of all my research, I didn't read that. So that's just another positive in my opinion.
Well, I
Again,
saw that
I
on a
do
show
like
back in the 70s.
I do think we need to move away from fossil fuels. I mean, there's no question. I can't imagine that anybody really can sit there and say that we're not negatively impacting the earth by the way that we conduct our lives currently with, look at China. They shut down for a month. The amount of positive impact, the amount of positive occurrences that happened in the environment just from the 1 month that basically the whole world shut down and stopped polluting was measurable all over, from the atmosphere down to the soil.
And that was Slayer's hot potato.
Well, another thing about China.
Well, what I want to know is, what does everybody else think about this? I mean, like I said, I normally would have been on board with stopping this pipeline, but I don't think, because we're not going to go any greener because we stopped the pipeline, it actually makes more sense to do the pipeline than it does to stop it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Is it
And
still
you aren't
efficient?
counting the amount of Canadian jobs that were taken away. Not only that, but to support people providing the materials. I mean, it's more
didn't
than
even
that
get into that,
12,000.
but You're right, absolutely right. There's Alberta, Canada is like literally going to fall apart because of this. They were basically, this was going to make them. This is a huge, huge blow for their economy.
Well, it's ours too. I already feel the effect here.
Oh, the gas prices have already gone up 45 cents since Biden took office. 45 cents a gallon.
It's the same here.
Yeah, I was about to say it's the same here. It's like 2 something.
229.
And again, that isn't all because of just this one pipeline, but it's because of that mentality. That would be fine if we were getting away from using fossil fuels. Again, I think we need to, but we need to immediately put those resources and that energy into doing something that makes sense, like sustainable green energy.
Yeah,
It's
but the
out
problem
there.
with that,
It just needs to be developed more.
yeah, that's the problem though. The sun isn't always going to shine. The wind isn't always going to blow. Geothermal isn't always going to,
But if we
isn't
put
available
more
everywhere.
money into actually right now, like solar energy, in my opinion, is not efficient enough to make it worth switching to. Could it be though? Yes, I believe it could. I believe that if we actually put the resources into the R&D portion of sustainable green energy, we could get to a point where we could eliminate our need to rely on fossil fuels 100%. And I don't think it would even take that long. I say we could get there in 5 to 10 years easily if right now the dynamic shift went from relying on like, oh, we found more oil again, like, back in the 1800s. Yeah, in the 1800s that was great. Nowadays, not so much. We need to we have the technology, we have the know-how, we just need the right people to get behind it so that the money goes to the right place. And that is developing solar,
Well,
hydro.
that's what Biden's all about, right? That's his whole mandate is green and renewable.
Yeah, but
so on the one hand, you say he's fucked the pipeline, which I get. It's a lot of money, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of investment. They've already fucked up nature, right? Now they're gonna have to go and rip it all down. But on the other hand, he's doing that to buff this up. If you rely on this for the next 50 years,
he hasn't changed anything. That's my complaint about it.
Okay, so he's not being more proactive about pushing towards
renewable. Yeah,
renewables.
he stopped the pipeline, but is he doing anything like, okay, instead of continuing funding this pipeline, we're now going to take that money, the resources, the time, the energy, and we're going to build up, say, hydro power. Let's just throw it out on hydro instead of solar for the hell of it. Okay? That's not happening. All we're doing is shifting. Okay, we're not going to get our oil in a pipeline. We're going to get our oil in a truck, a boat, or a ship. I mean, a train. It just doesn't make sense.
That can't be the game plan. That can't be the
game plan. That's the immediate game plan. That's exactly what is happening.
Daisy's got something. I can see she's itching. Go for it.
No, okay. Is the pipeline in use?
No, they weren't finished. Okay. That's the problem. They built I don't even know how far they got on it, but they built a good amount of it, and now they just stopped.
Well, what I was wondering is why would they need to make gas go up if they're not using the pipeline already, and then they're saying that there's going to be extra cost shipping and all of that. They're already doing it. Why would they need to charge more?
All right, the bigger impact of what he did is, like I was saying a few minutes ago, it's not just this pipeline, it's federal land in general. We are now going to go from being able to be more reliant on our own resources for oil to now going back to being more reliant on foreign fuel, which is what's going to raise the price of oil. The reason why oil's so cheap, the reason why your price at the pump has been so cheap for so long is because one of the really good things that Trump did is that he said, we're using fossil fuels. Why are we buying it from other countries when we have so much of our own? So he opened up the being able to drill in places that all prior to him, especially when Democrats were in charge, had said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go green, but we don't have any immediate plans on how we're going to do it, but we just want to go green.
I
So
agree with you there. They should.
I-
That's all they ever do is say they're going to
yeah,
do.
they just say they're going to go green, but we don't make any strides towards achieving that. Oh
Yeah, we
yeah,
do. Obama
not
gave
big enough.
$500 million to Solyndra, then they never produced anything.
Well, see, you just Well, I know sarcastically you're making my point.
No, I'm 100% serious. You know, I back any president, anybody that gets elected, I give them a chance. But when Obama started throwing money away like that, $500 million, imagine what we could do with that. Imagine the veterans we could get homes for. Imagine the other homeless people we could get homes for with that kind of money.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like they
mean,
never want to take care of the veterans. I don't know why they do that. And each side will sit and act like they care. They don't care.
Trump did take care of us.
we
The
give
way
away
the VA
billions of
was
dollars.
before, you had people committing suicide in the parking lot at the VA hospitals. It very, very seldom happens when Trump was president. He took care of us.
Why do you insult people so bad? Like it seemed like he never. I mean, the way he made fun of them and
He's
said,
not a politician.
no,
He's
but
a
I mean,
businessman. That's the
I
business
could
world.
never say to the wife of a man who went to war. Well, he knew what he was getting into.
What did he say?
He told a widow of a man who died, in army, that he knew what he was getting into.
It's
Like,
true.
it's just the
I mean,
cow.
it wasn't appropriate to say that. It wasn't appropriate to say that.
And the way that he
But-
made fun of somebody being a POW, the one that died that he
Ronnie
hated. I was just raised with that you're supposed to be respectful, and that just killed me.
Okay, let me ask you this then. What respect did Trump get?
Well,
From the day he walked down that elevator, they disrespected him.
well,
Nice
Do
to
you
see
get
you.
what I'm
And
saying
then
there,
I wrap
Sense?
it up.
Huh?
Oh, you want me to go on?
Please, at length. We got another.
No,
2 hours,
I
why
mean,
not?
Trump wasn't the most etiquette man that's ever held the office. But everything he said that he was going to do, by God, he did it. Every single thing. Yeah, he talked like, pardon this, but he talked like a fucking backwoods redneck hillbilly. And I didn't agree with everything he said like that. But I'm sorry, but a lot of it needed to be said. You know, the way the Democrats treated him is appalling. Politicians should not do that. Nancy Pelosi and her hypocritical ass, you can't go to the hair salon and get your hair done. What happens? She goes and gets her freaking hair done in a closed salon during the pandemic. It's a double set of standards for the Democrats, and I'm done.
To be honest with you, our health secretary, right? Yeah, he said, "Don't go out this weekend. You know, the virus is really bad. Don't go out this weekend." And then he's filmed out there with his kids. You know, the person who came out with the lockdown said you cannot travel out of your hometown, and he was arrested traveling 300 miles across the country. So
You serious?
it's one rule for one, and you know the rest can do what the fuck they want, right?
Yeah, Governor Newsom, don't go out, don't socialize, wear your mask. Oh, a video surfaces him out to dinner with his family.
Yeah. Same thing over here, man. It's not just Democrat, it's not Republican, it's people in power and the people they command or rule.
Oh, I'm not denying that there are Republicans that do it. I know there have been. But I'm just saying that how dare you chastised somebody for doing something that you have done yourself?
It's
Exactly.
hypocritical.
I mean, that's what the world's
The way
filled with
all
nowadays. That's just everybody in general. Everybody can be so hypocritical.
Yeah, I know
All
you are. Sissy
at
boy.
time. I don't know if I am or not.
Well, I know. Nah, I'm just messing with you, man. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like some of the people that runs our county, I've watched them walk right into stores with no masks on, and well, I'm like, really? What gives you the right to not have a friggin' mask in here? You think your damn ass is that good?
Well, if you look at it, if you look at the right way, it's not a law. They cannot
See, it is where I
write a
am.
law to do it.
It's where we
You'll
are.
be
It's
fined
mandatory.
$300 if you're in.
Yeah. Our health department, ours is 500.
I think
I think ours is like, I think ours is about $3 grand, $4 grand.
What the holy?
If you're caught
wow.
if you're caught like hosting a party, you can get fined up to £30,000.
30,000 pounds.
Holy, wow.
That's like what?
Okay.
45, 50,000 American.
Yeah, 45 American. Yeah.
Holy
Like big,
shit.
like yeah, they're taking it serious over here, you know.
But I mean, I feel like that's how it should be, though. To,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's a global pandemic for a reason. It's all over. It's not just, oh, it's in this certain little area, but we can do whatever the hell we want just because we can.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not helping the situation at all. I mean, everywhere I go, I wear my mask. Everywhere I go. I don't care if it's 5 minutes down the road, or if it's just right up the street to the to go get pizza, or to go to the store to grab something to drink. Wear your damn mask.
Hey,
I'm
let me tell
going to
you.
bring this up one more time, and I'm not going to say anything more after this about any of this subject. The thing that really pisses me off about the Democrats is they held up our money for political reasons. There are fucking people that could use that money. But no, they wanted to play petty fucking politics just to try to not get a man elected.
But hey, whoa.
Nancy Pelosi even admitted she did
Wasn't
that.
there during the Obama thing, the Republicans blocked all the spending and they basically shut the government down? Same thing. People's jobs, people's livelihoods. It's just a fucking game to them.
Wasn't
You
there
don't
three-
care.
Did you notice that our government employees get paid whether they work or not?
They
Oh,
also
yeah.
get the
Really?
best health insurance.
Yeah,
for the
they
their-
were not affected by that at all.
Oh, okay.
The only thing that affected was the national parks, the national museums, and that's about it. The reason that they didn't want to pass it was because they had a bunch of bullshit pork spending in that bill that was absolutely worthless. It was just giving money to their fucking political friends.
That's not how it was reported over here, obviously. Okay, that's interesting.
Well, I get my news from different sources, and I make my judgments off of that.
This country, depending on what source you're using for your information, your take or your view on a specific issue or topic can be greatly different from one person to the next, just because of where you're getting the information from.
Oh yeah,
Where you're getting-
and
where-
It's
his
not like
computer.
it's not like all our news stations are on the same page. I
Right.
mean, you go to Fox News, you're gonna get a Republican shaded side of the story, whereas if you go to CNN, you're gonna get more of a Democratic view on a specific topic. I personally
That
don't like
depends who you
either
are,
of them,
Fox.
and I don't like either of them because I think they're all tainted.
They
Don't even
both
watch
have
the
an
news.
agenda.
Yeah,
They
one
both
has
have
more
an
of a
agenda.
Republican and one has a Democratic agenda.
Yeah.
You're right.
To be fair, the only news I really watch is the Mexican weather.
You
I
like
wouldn't
big
know
muffins
why.
and they lie.
Oh, your Net Garcia.
There's actually
There'll be a clip.
YouTube things out there of that.
There'll be a clip in this.
You are going to offend people with that, by the way.
Yeah, talking about depending on how you get your news and everything. There were so many people that if they had known about Hunter Biden's laptop, they probably wouldn't have voted for Biden, because Facebook didn't put it out, Twitter wouldn't let you put it out, CBS.
Longshot, man, I swear, you should have been here last week. You should have been here for the last podcast, bro. We literally were talking about what was going on with America and the election and the riot. You would have been perfect for it.
Mm-hmm.
God damn. One too late. But when we cycle back through, we're gonna have to give Longshot a podium. You're gonna have to do, Longshot's hour, and you just go off, bro. You tell us what you think, and fair game. We'll come back.
Well,
with what we think.
I mean, necessarily. I mean, that's just what a podcast is. I mean, everybody just speaks their mind, and everybody gives their input, and it's out there.
You're still buds.
Yeah, it's out there.
I hope that if anybody watches this, it just maybe makes them think about things and like go and like look for yourself.
Right. Do your own.
Don't listen to one news source.
Yeah.
Don't listen to Twitter. Don't listen to Facebook. I mean, it's okay if you get some news from CNN and then Fox and then Yahoo News and Drudge Reporter or Breitbart, and take it all in and make a decision then. Don't just snap off on one decision because it's usually the wrong choice.
And I mean, I feel like yeah, and I feel like that's where a lot of it is mistaken. Everybody just the world is lazy, okay? Everybody wants to do the quickest thing as fast as they can, and the rest of it be damned to hell. They don't care about how efficient that source is or how resourceful it is. It's just, it was the first thing they seen, they snapped to it, and then that's where their mind is. And
that's the problem, right? It's a 15-second talking thing. You just got your little sentence that you rattle off, and that's your opinion of it. No one actually takes the time to discuss what it actually is, the underlying issues, the implications, the effect, why it actually happened. It's not. It's boiled down. It's 15 seconds. It's whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
which doesn't get you anywhere.
No, it doesn't. But that's the consumerist nature of journalism these days. We don't want big exclusive pieces. We just want our 15 minutes or our 15 seconds, and then on to the next horrific 15 seconds, and then the next, because it's a little dopamine hit, right?
It's just like they're trying to impeach Trump again. There is no precedence in the 25th Amendment that states that you can impeach a former president. You can't do it. There's no precedence for it.
To be honest, that's not going to happen. I think that was all just like
it
was a knee jerk for what happened in the riots and all of that. I think it will go through criminal or civil. I mean, he's got like 5 or 6 like criminal cases against him, 2 civil. There's lots of sexual assault cases. Like, I don't think Trump is going to have a happy couple of years. I think his daughter will do well. She'll go to Florida and she'll campaign in Florida and she'll be the face, of the next generation of Trump. But yeah, I think he's toast, man. I think he's done.
I don't know. It's too early to tell. Let's see where the cards fall and go from there. That's all you can do. I mean, you want to talk about a womanizer? Let's talk about JFK.
Clinton, if we're going to go to.
Well, I wasn't going to go there because there's 2 youngins here.
The cigar man.
But Clinton, like Reagan, Clinton was a salesman. When he was at the helm, America was a flying eagle, and maybe Biden can bring a little bit of that. I don't know. I haven't ruled him out completely. He's an entrenched politician, but maybe he can do something.
Did you see the video when he was signing some of those executive orders where you could just barely hear it on the microphone? I don't know what I'm signing. What is this? Go ahead and just sign it.
Probably how it is for all of them, man.
Yeah.
Sign this, sign this.
The president really isn't in charge.
Nope.
Seeing it.
Not at all.
And all that he did there is to put his signature on a piece of paper to sign the bills. That's pretty much it.
Quite little power.
Yeah, but if you don't know what's in the bill, why the fuck are you signing it?
Yeah, really, read the goddamn thing. I mean, you're supposed to be in charge of the country.
Is he basically has undid everything that Trump did. That's what Biden did in his first week.
Okay. So we came up with the idea for me to do a sort of institution look into Skull and Bones. We can't do that, man. There's too much here for the politics. We got to do KEBG, Solves America Part 2 or something. We got to go back to politics. There's too much content.
I told you before, it could be a 6-part series, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Now
can-
Longshot,
They do
yeah, because
Really,
before it was we were talking centrist and left before, weren't we? Now we've got a proper right wing, so I think it'll be worth revising. Maybe
I'm
we
not
talk
left
about that
or
after
right,
when we
dude.
go off there.
I don't categorize myself left or
Slayer.
right.
Yeah, I'm with Slayer. I mean, I vote for the person that I think is going to do the best for this country.
I'm a libertarian. I'm not left or right or centre. I'm a libertarian. I think it's up to
Yeah.
you.
Exactly. And that's how I am.
I'm an American.
I live in my own world.
So, okay, the first section was supposed to be 20 minutes and we got to an hour and 10. Slayers was supposed to be 5 and we knocked it out in half hour. I think we're doing better.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
I mean,
To be honest with you, I got so into our conversation about the cults and everything that I didn't even really go over a lot of what I wanted to speak about on the pipeline.
There's always next hot potato.
Oh,
or you know,
on your
There will be
pipeline,
another hot potato.
there's no waterways for boats to get oil.
There's no what?
There's no waterways up in Alberta for big
No,
oil
they would
tankers
they,
to get
they
up
would
there.
truck it. They would truck it to the coast and bring it down to the.
Oh,
West
do you know how many
Coast
trucks
on a
that would
boat.
take?
That's what they're doing, though. That's
Well,
why.
I mean now,
that's why
yeah, but I'm talking
against
about
what
before.
they did. They should have 880,000 gallons of oil would have traveled through that pipeline a day, instead of how many trucks and train cars is that going to take?
Well,
And
and
how
a
much
truck
pollution does
about
that make?
8,000 gallons.
And how much pollution does that make?
A lot. Because you got all that diesel that the trucks is burning.
Yeah,
the trains use diesel.
That's why normally, like I said, I would be on the side of pro-earth, pro-environment, trying to move towards a greener future because I am 100% in favor of that. I don't think we do nearly enough to make really any kind of stride towards that. But that being said, in this instance, all this is doing is going to cost American jobs. The average American is going to be paying more than double at the pump, and it's going to be worse for the environment. So,
Yeah,
in
now
my
I have
opinion,
noticed.
this made no sense stopping this pipeline. It does not fall into, in my opinion, it doesn't fall into, yeah, we're working towards a greener tomorrow, because in actuality, this is actually going to cause more greenhouse emissions, not less.
Well, that's what I agree with, because like when they took all the coal jobs here, that obviously because it's killing everything. It's disgusting. It's poisoning our rivers. But why don't you make something to take up to that before you get rid of something?
Yeah.
Right back-
Exactly. That's my point. Why? All right, stop the pipeline. Well, all right, then let's parlay that right into. All right,
Nuclear.
how are we going to
Nuclear,
improve
solo, winner,
something?
anything.
Something green,
Anything.
something. But they're not. They're not doing that. It's just we're stopping the pipeline, and that's it. All right, yeah. Well, that just falls in how the Democrats are actually phrasing this is that, oh yeah, this is just in accordance with how Joe Biden wants to move towards the greener tomorrow, where they're not even speaking about how it's not really working towards a greener tomorrow. Stopping this pipeline is actually counterproductive for that. And one of those, all those executive orders that you were just talking about, Longshot, that he signed on film, on camera, and again, I agree. He looks like a deer in the headlights. I'm just signing. What? All he basically did is reverse everything Trump did. And I mean, I agree. We should have got back into the Paris Accord because, in the long run, I do want to work towards a greener Earth. As globally, we need to get away from using fossil fuels. We need to be more proactive in making a cleaner tomorrow possible.
We've had that conversation. It's basically take industry off of Earth. That's what Elon Musk is trying to do. That's
what he wants to do. They want to move it to the moon.
They want to go to Mars.
Well, first the moon and then to Mars. The Mars is the secondary ultimate goal, probably.
The reason they don't want to do the moon is because to then go on to Mars, you've got to then break gravity again. So it's like you've got to break Earth's gravity, then go to the moon, and then break the moon's gravity.
Yeah, but the
Whereas if you go to the
gravitational-
International Space Station, you can then counter launch to Mars off of that. But the and also Mars is incredibly rich with like gold, potassium, like all of the sort of
do you? How about what they're finding on the moon? That's like priceless. China's bringing it back every time they go up there.
Yeah, well, China's actually starting to build a base on the moon, isn't they?
I know, and there's a reason why, because there's
Surveillance.
very, very lucrative resources on the moon that they can.
Tons of rare earth minerals up there.
Yes, there is.
Yeah,
And
but
then-
here's the thing: if they get up there and they fuck around with the moon and do something to it, you're gonna fuck the Earth's gravity up. I
Tides.
mean, the
Tides
tides
and
and
seas.
everything.
Well, I mean, yeah, the moon can basically dictates how our tide schedule works, and yeah, if the moon's orbit was altered in some way, that could have devastating consequences on the Earth.
for us on Earth,
Mhm.
yes. I mean, that would be something that they would need not to freaking do.
But I mean, I'm not saying that what they're planning on doing is going to do that. I'm not convinced that going up there and drilling for the minerals and the ores are necessarily going to impact the moon in a way where it impacts Earth. But that being said, here we are with it's just about the money. And is
Always about the money, bro.
And how is this really helping Earth?
But you gotta
Oh,
think,
now-
If we
You know,
take
all-
industry,
all-
if we take all those factories in China, if we take all of the big industry, the oil drilling, the everything, and we put that elsewhere, then our planet recovers. Our
Okay,
habitat
our planet
survives.
recovers, but now we're polluting the fucking
universe.
Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah,
rather there
really.
than here.
Oh, but that's a stupid human mentality to have.
No, no,
I
that's
don't
survival.
agree with that.
It's survival.
We need to
it's,
learn
we,
to be
we're
better.
burning through the resources on this planet, and then
Well,
we'll
then-
have nothing, and
But
we'll be
we
fucked.
don't need the resources on this planet. We need to get away from that. I mean, I think everybody understands that we can't continue to go on this fossil fuel journey much longer, or we're going to do damage that cannot be fixed. We're going to get to a tipping point where the Earth is going to start saying, "Fuck off, humans! You're the cancer on my back."
Here's COVID-19.
Well,
Actually, the United States has reduced its emissions considerably compared to China and India. I mean, they're both big oil, they're both big coal-fired energy countries.
But there's no
Yeah.
reason why we can't get even better.
Well, we're working on it
China
slowly.
and India, I mean, everybody bashes them, but you really can't knock them. They're just playing the game. And Doodles, you can definitely relate to this because you play the game. You're in the business world. You understand how you have to do it. China is probably the most influential country in the world because of how much they produce for the rest of the world.
It's
Everything's
not how
produced in China.
It's not how much they produce. It's in America you have to pay someone $7 an hour. In China you can pay them 10 cents a day.
I don't think there's anywhere in this
You know.
country that anybody's.
So
making
why would I
$7
make a
an hour.
product?
Yep,
Why
yep,
would
yep,
I
right
make,
here.
Why would I make
Minimum
Yeah.
product?
Yep, that's
minimum
not.
wage here is $7.25 an hour.
I
$7.25.
think minimum
So why would I pay
Yeah,
like
ours
to have
at
a product
$7.50.
produced? Why would I pay to have a product produced in America if it costs $100 to make, or I can have it made in China for $1? It
Slave
just
labor.
doesn't make sense. Yeah, it is. It's slave labor and it's human exploitation. But
Mhm.
China has
That-
built itself as
How about the fact
we
of
can-
having a little pride in the way that life should work? You should want to buy things that are locally manufactured. I'm proud when I buy something that is actually made in America.
Yep.
But I can't tell you how many products you think are made in America.
Yeah,
that
they
really
ain't.
aren't.
Yeah,
Made
right on the back of it.
Here
Made
it's
in U.S.
assembled in America, but all the components to make that product come from China.
Yep.
So what's the
Or
difference?
Canada or
Because
Mexico.
it's put together in America, I'm buying American made, blah 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 blah. No, but everybody, you as a British citizen, you should want to buy products that are made in your country. You should want to support
Why?
your local economy.
Why?
For that exact reason. You want to support your local economy.
No, I don't. I want to make as much profit as possible.
Well, that's where the capitalism comes in, isn't
That's
it?
what it is. Like,
Again, my views at my age is different than yours. I
I 100% understand the hippie dream
Yeah.
you are preaching, but you know
It's
the
not a
dollar
hidden
rules all.
dream. It's
We should
literally-
all
I'm
buy
willing-
locally sourced organic.
I'm
It
willing to
just
pay
doesn't
more
work
to
like that.
get better or get.
So my solution is your answer to it is buy local. Blah, 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 blah. It's not going to work. Never worked. Always cheaper. So if we can take industry off planet and we can do it far cheaper than we can do it here, or at a reasonable comparable cost, and we also limit all of the damage we're doing to this planet, that's the way forward, because that is a capitalistic driven answer. The socialist answer is never going to fucking play, because the dollar rules all.
My thing to that. What kind of damage are we doing to that entity that we're on? Whether it's Mars?
Nothing yet, because we ain't got there.
I know, but what I'm saying is, you got to look at the big picture.
Yeah, but no, there's nothing on Mars.
Right
There's
now.
no life.
Right.
There's no animals. There's no plants. There's nothing. There's just minerals, and the minerals are useful to us because they're in this chain, because they're in your iPhone. You know. So if we go and put a fuckload of CO2, or carbon dioxide, or nitrogen dioxide, or any of the horrible chemicals that are produced through industry, we pump that into Mars's atmosphere, which is very, very limited. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't harm. It doesn't do anything.
But it hurts the galaxy. That's all.
In what like the galaxy is a vacuum.
That's right.
It's a vacuum surrounded by rocks, and we are lucky to have like
the Atlantic Ocean. There's a plastic dump the size of Texas. In the galaxy, we'll create a dump the size of Earth. That's all.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
It's not about whether you agree with it or not. That's the solution that will keep our planet surviving.
You forgot about all the satellites in orbit too.
Yeah, well, that's one of the hardest things to do with launch.
Don't even get me on the subject of like all the debris that's already floating around the Earth. Whenever they launch anything, they have to like account for like all the debris that we've caused that's floating around in between here and the space station, even. Not to mention going to the fucking moon.
We're gonna move on.
Here in the space station, there's so much debris that they have to plan their launches so that they don't hit any of it. And that's all from us.
So, what did that mean?
We're coming up to 2 hours.
Well, it is supposed to be this organic rolling.
I had to go fix some children. We've been on here so long.
I said that an hour ago. We're getting into topics that really deserve their own whole show based on, really.
Yeah. But here's one thing I don't understand. Even if they do go up there to get the minerals, that's the cost. The cost of it. I don't see how they can afford it unless they must be getting a lot of. Yeah, they must be getting a lot of.
You can actually go look this up on Google right now. China goes up, and I forget what they're actually grabbing. I'm mad at myself because I can't think of what the mineral that they're going up there to grab is. But when they come down with one payload, it's like billions and billions of dollars worth of that for one payload.
Well, why the fuck ain't the United States doing it?
And I can't think
because Obama cut our space agency. He did away with NASA, basically.
Well, there still is Space Force, though.
Yeah.
We still do have like this. I won't say it's a branch of our military, but there is this entity that exists that's called Space Force. There's actually a comedy parody special on Netflix with Steve Carell about it. But it does exist. The United States does have a branch called Space Force.
The movie you're talking about is called Spaceballs.
No.
That's hilarious.
I'm talking about this Netflix series. It just came out like a year or two ago. Steve Carell stars in it, and John Malkovich is in it as well, and it's called Space Force. They did one season. I don't know if they're gonna go any further with it, but the whole point is that there is this entity called Space Force because they know moving forward that we are going to be branching into space.
You know what's going to come after Space Force?
Star Wars.
I
Space Marine.
so hesitantly, like, what to expect.
And we get to go fight them big 8-legged monsters on a asteroid or some shit.
There we go.
They already made a movie about it.
I'd say probably my favorite space movie is Armageddon.
Deep Impact.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Probably better though. I think Armageddon's one of the better ones.
The one with Clint Eastwood.
Bruce Willis had
What they call Space Cowboys.
Space Jam. Space Jam was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the dude. I like the dude that's out there on the asteroid going. They have to lock him up. It's like, oh God, he's lost it.
That was Armageddon. That was the one with Bruce
Yeah.
Willis.
Sense, if you want to chair these, you need to be a lot more controlling, bro. Like,
No, I'm good. I mean, that's.
If this is a tier rank, I would give you a D- at this moment in time.
No, listen, man. I mean, my thought on a podcast is just everybody coming in here and saying whatever the hell they want and speaking their mind and then just going on about it.
There is a few podcasts that I see do that. I mean,
just everybody
everybody just start talking.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's fine. I mean, you can get to your topics and get through your topics, but in between getting through your topics, you can have that moment of where everybody's just like we was just doing, just going on about different stuff and then touching on certain subjects, and then we can dive deeper into from touching in on those subjects and then dive deeper into it and then to make a whole nother section out of it.
Okay.
So
He's got ideas.
Yeah.
Boy, this group's got a whole lot bigger in it, boy, since the last one.
How many was it last time? Like 4 of us? 4 or 5?
Yeah, 4.
And now there's
Then
6.
we got 6 of us.
Yeah.
So, do we want to write down what needs to be looked into as a deep dive, or did you guys?
I mean, when we're not doing the podcast, haven't we got another section? Sense.
Yeah. Which I mean, I'll get on my subject in a second. Which I mean, again, that just reverts to what I was just saying. I mean, instead of us writing down.
This ain't a meet.
No. Yeah. I mean, this involves. No, that's not what I'm saying. I mean, that's where I'm going to, though. I mean, instead of us having to do our research and to have us, I mean, yeah, we can all do our own research about a certain topic, but just everybody come in. Just don't say nothing about it, right? Don't say nothing about the subject that you want to go over, and then just go over it, and then everybody comes in and with a blank mind of nothing.
We're recording a podcast right
yes.
now. It's being broadcast right now on Twitch.
Yes.
You've got to keep, you can't then divulge into let's have a meeting and a
No, that's not where I'm going.
Let's discuss it at length. Fucking hell, we're talking about cults. Now we're talking about Space Marines. Only in the KBG podcast.
Turned into KEBG ADHD.
I like that.
That actually is very fitting for at least the label on this podcast.
Oh Lord!
I mean, just everybody comes in, just all out. Okay.
You can't admit that it ain't good. Come on now.
So, I guess we're going to my topic now. I guess we're gonna go down in depth of where I'm at and where I stand with everything that was mentioned, and then to go into on what I as an individual have to go through. Me personally, I was raised right. I don't really care about, I mean, yeah, I can have an open mind, right? I mean, as an individual, I have an open mind. I can, I can be told anything and then to have an open mind about it and then tell you my thoughts on it. The whole politic, the whole space marine, I mean, just everything. I mean, I'll sit here and I'll listen to it and I'll give my whatever opinion that I have on it. But do I know anything about it? No, not really. Why is that? Because honestly, as long as it doesn't, I mean, yes, in the future it could impact me, but at this very moment, if it doesn't impact me, I feel like that I just shouldn't worry about it. Because me, myself, I'm a homebody, right? I try not to venture, let me rephrase, I try not to venture out as much as I have to, but I do, and I'll get into that later. But, I mean, as long as it doesn't impact me or anybody around me, I mean, I could give two shits. I mean, I'm the type of person that I was growing around, being myself, doing my own thing, being left alone, right? I mean, which is fine. Yeah, you can have your alone time, but yes, you need that time to where you can come in and, everybody just speaks their mind. But going on to the topic of me going out as much as I have to, here recently I have bitten off way more than I can chew in my personal life, and I'm paying the consequences for it. Right now I am in a 3-bedroom house with like 8 people, which at the moment is not very true because everybody is out work or whatever. But I mean, I have to go out a lot. And do I hate it? Yes. And do I feel like it's all left on me? Yes. And why is that? Because I am the literal, legal, only driver that is here. And so if anybody has to go anywhere, if anybody has to do anything, I'm the one that has to do it. And I think that it's bullshit. I think that it is complete bullshit that I have to stop whatever I'm doing or whatever plans I have made for that day to stop what I'm doing, drop everything, and to go do whatever they need to have done. And it's again, it's bullshit. And I mean, do I hate it? Yes. But do I have any other way to go on about it? No, not really, because I put myself here. But did I know all the responsibilities? No, I did not.
Teaching people how to drive and how to save money to buy a car.
That's what I fucking said.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
Just like to take a moment, to say congratulations and well done to Sense. New job starting tomorrow. I think that takes recognition, so well done, bro. Well done.
Thank you.
Nice.
Good job, babe.
Congratulations.
As long as
New
it's
job
not
is always
midnight.
exciting.
Do what?
New job is always exciting in your life.
Yeah.
Buy some bicycles.
There you go. Make them ride bicycles. There you go.
I'll soon get them buying a car, mate, I tell you. Or a bike everywhere, you'll buy a car.
Yeah, for sure.
Or you'll get in shape.
Put the baby seat on it. For
And then also another
No one keeps popping out babies. Damn.
another thing that I have on the topic is that, of course, where I'm the only driver, I'm the one that, again, if they have to go anywhere, I have to take them. I have no other choice. But here recently, I've been, right. Okay, so let me rephrase a little. Let me backpedal here a bit and go on. When I moved in, right, when me and my girlfriend were getting our own place, which is, well, we'll get into that. But when we decided to move in, it was just going to be 5 of us, which is my girlfriend's 2 kids, her cousin, and then myself, and then her, obviously. And then it came to the point where a really good friend of mine, she didn't have anywhere to go, and her family was moving, and she didn't want to go nowhere. And then so I was like, okay. And then so it became a short-term plan for her to be here, right? And to her to be living here, which, I mean, I didn't mind that. You know, I didn't mind helping her out. I'm the type of person that if anybody needs help, I'll help you with whatever I can, 110%. I'm there with you as long as, you know, you've had my back or whatever. But then again, people take that mentality of they know how you think and they know how you are, and they'll use that against you. And they will use it to every bit they can to just use you and continuously use you. And I'm the type of person, right, that I feel like people need to look at it as to, holy crap, this person's giving me a place to live. They're giving me a place to lay my head down. And, you know, they're taking me places. You know, how can I congratulate that person for doing this? Besides just them living here.
People don't think like that, man. You
I know, and
they don't think in their head, oh, I owe that person a favor. They think, oh, I can get another favor.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how it is.
Some people are more prone to that.
Right,
No.
but I mean, but that's not how. I mean, I feel like that. Yeah, everybody has their own, you know, thought process and their own, you know, how they was raised and whatever. But I mean, how can it go to that though? Like, how can people just, you know, you give this person everything, you give them what they need, and then they think that, oh, they owe me back or whatever, and then they'll just keep taking and taking and taking, and then you just keep giving and giving and giving, and then you get nothing back.
Can be broken down into people can be broken down into two categories.
Doopers,
You're either a giver or a
doopies.
taker. Oh, you're being more cynical, but I'm being more realistic.
You're a duper or you're a doopy.
You're or
You
a
give
giver
or you
or a
take.
taker.
That's it.
Yeah.
You give or you take. You can be
Yeah.
a victim or you can be a villain.
That's how you can basically break people and life down to.
And that sucks. And that is a
does
hard
suck.
lesson to learn. And give it 5-10 years and you'll really understand that, mate.
Yeah.
Give it 20, 25 and you'll be pissed off about it.
And then you stop being pissed off about it, just accept it and get on with it.
Yeah.
That's your next 10-15 years, bro.
Don't you think that the fact that he has surrounded himself with too many takers and he's a giver is a bad damn place?
He's destined to fail.
That's history. That's growing up. That's history. We won't go into that. But that's like,
It is
But
a
you-
bad
that's who you are, Sense. You know, that's
Yep.
who you've been. So that's how you feel at home. But it sounds like you're now getting to the point where you think, you know, fuck, it's too much. It was
Yeah.
too much a year ago, bro.
Yeah.
It's like walking down the street and every time you see the same guy, you smack him in the face, and how long is he going to put up with it?
Right.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, what, like, but I feel like that it shouldn't come to that point. Like, you shouldn't get into the habit of,
The
you know,
conversation isn't it shouldn't. The conversation is it will. How do you stop it?
It has.
It has.
Right.
It will. Every time you go into this situation and give, someone is going to take some more. Start to
And
realize that. And
The more
think,
you
how
give,
could
the
I
more
not?
takers will
yeah,
take.
but it shouldn't, like, dude, like,
There are people who just don't care. All they want is what they can get.
Your rules don't apply.
yeah. I mean, well,
Make a decision. Say, hey, you got 2 months to save money to find a place. That's it. End of story.
That's
Yeah.
what I said.
right.
It's a difficult conversation to have. Put it on the table.
Wait until you have, well, you've got 2 kids already, but you know when they're your own, it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
And when they're teenagers and they're kiddos, likely.
We got, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, just my mentality of thinking is, yeah, you're right. I mean, get out of the way of it shouldn't be, but I mean that's where I'm stuck. I mean, I feel like that the world shouldn't be as big of a shithole as it is, right? And I want I want it to crawl out of this shithole on its hands and knees or on its stomach and, you know, inch its way out of here and get the hell out of here.
Do you know
But-
why young people are like ingenious and they drive things forward and they change things and better them, and why older people can't? It's because you have that mindset of it should be different. I'm gonna fucking make it different. and then you get 10 years down the line and you just accept it.
That's
So
it.
you've got a window.
Acceptance.
You've got a
Yeah.
window of fuck, I'm gonna make a difference, and then you get the other
Basically,
side of
10
that, and it's
years.
like, okay, shit, it just is how it is. I'm just gonna
Yep.
try and do the best I can. So
That's a
embrace your
very-
window. Don't
Yeah.
try and lose that thought process or that feeling, because that is what makes being young so special, I guess. And that's why people who are older hate people who are young, because you still have that in you. You get to like 30, 35, you couldn't give a shit, mate. You're just after yours.
There's two kinds of people in the world: sheep and wolves. Which one are you?
That's it, bro.
But
And that,
dang it.
ladies and gentlemen,
What?
was the KBG podcast.
Baby, show me.